Okay. Perfect. Well, welcome. Welcome to Enhancing Independence with the Meta Glasses. I'm gonna wait for some more members to trickle in. All right. I'll give us a few more minutes. Hope everyone's doing well this morning, this afternoon. Definitely gonna mess that up. All right. All right. I think we've got, all right, still getting a steady stream of people trickling in. So I'll wait for a few more seconds and then we can get started. All right. Okay. So let's get started. Um, well, oh, I wasn't on the right screen. Sorry. Okay, so welcome to Enhancing Independence with the Meta Glasses. I'm Molly. I'm an assistive technology specialist here at Pacer Simon Technology Center. And with me today is Paul. He is manning our chat. Forgot to put him on the slide. Whoops. But he will answer all the questions and he's kind of just there to help with technical stuff. So let's jump right in, shall we? Okay, so today, everything that I talk about today is in the handout. So you can access the handout in a couple different ways. This link was in the reminder email that you received. You can access it through this QR code or in the chat. Paul's going to share that handout a couple times. So we'll share it once now and then later a little bit if anyone misses it when they first join and things like that. So anything that I talk about today is going to be in that handout. Questions, really everything. And that is in the chat now, so it's perfect. All right. So let's talk a little bit about tips for the Zoom webinar. So make sure, number one is let's make sure that our chat is set to everyone. So we are going to share in the chat. We're going to share the link to the handout. And then at the end, we'll do the workshop evaluation, which is where you'll get the certificate of attendance if that's something that you're looking for. As a participant, we'd love it if you shared, if you have any technical issues, if you can't hear me, or if you have questions or comments for the group. We love questions and comments. Usually if you have a question, someone else probably has that same question. So make sure your chat is set to everyone and then we can go from there. So, all right. So with that certificate of attendance that I talked about, that is available if you are attending live via Zoom. To receive the certificate, you do need to submit the workshop evaluation. At the end, it's about a 3 to 5 minute survey. It really does not take that long. And we're not able to provide the certificate attendance if you're not attending live. So it's only available if you're in the Zoom today at any point. All right, so let's talk a little bit about Pacer. So Pacer has a lot of different services that we provide for families in Minnesota and across the states. We do training, support, and lots of different things. And we're the only organization in Minnesota that provides support for families and of children and young adults with any disability from birth to age 26. So here in the Simon Technology Center, which is my department, we have a variety of different services that we offer as well. We are dedicated to providing access to assistive technology. So we do information, referral. We have a lending library with over 1,600 items that people can check out for free if you live in the state of Minnesota. And you can check things out if you don't live in the state of Minnesota as well. We do consultations for people that are looking, to find what type of AT that they're like can use. And then we do trainings for different technology, like the Meta glasses that we're going to talk about today. So today's agenda, we're going to do a couple different things. We're going to go over the glasses, the general, what you get out of the box, different models, stuff like that. And then we'll talk more about the technical specifications, so recording, things like that. Then we'll go over the app and what the app looks like. And then we'll talk a little bit about some examples on the glasses use and kind of what you can use them for, stuff like that. So let's hop right in. Okay, general overview. So what is included in your Meta glasses purchase? So say you were to purchase the glasses, or if you were to check them out from our library, this is what's included. So I'm gonna pop over to my other camera and get started. So when you get the glasses, hopefully you can hear me. When you get the glasses, you get a couple different things. So we get the case, we get the glasses, you get a little lens wipe, and then you get some different papers. So like safety and warranty, like a getting started kit, and then like links on how to get the prescription lenses, stuff like that. It's typical things you'd get with purchasing really anything, some how-tos, okay? So that's what you get straight out of the box. One thing that's unique about the Meta glasses is that you don't get a charging cord. That's kind of new with a lot of technology these days. It does charge with a USB-C, which a lot of people have lying around their house, or if you have another device that charges with USB-C, you probably have one of those chargers. So with the glasses, this is the Wayfarer. So we have two pairs of Wayfarers in our library, and that is just the type of glasses that they are. There's like the lens frame. There's, I think, sorry, I'm grabbing my notes. There's 3 models and frame styles depending on the generation. So there's 2 generations now. We have the first generation, and that base price is $299 that's not including any prescription lenses. The generation 2 base price is $379, and we're going to talk a little bit about the differences between the 2 generations as we go through the different specifications. So with the 3 models, you can have up to 6 colors. So there's gray, there's a cosmic blue, we have the black, there's a matte black as well. They're definitely more limited in the style options because they are a smart glasses, so you don't get as much customization as you would like a traditional looking for other glasses. With the prescription, so we have a clear frame in these glasses because people check them out and everybody's prescription is different, but the prescription range for the glasses is -6.0 to +4.0. So it is a little bit more limited just because of the thickness of the frames. The electronics are housed in the arms of the glasses, and so they can't have you can't have the really thick lenses. If that makes sense. You can also get tinted and transition lenses if you're wanting to have sunglasses or that transition lens. And you can purchase the Ray-Ban glasses at a variety of different places. So your local eyeglasses shops, a lot of them have them now, as well as Best Buy, Target, Walmart, things like that. So those are kind of the model options. Let's talk about the camera. So how the Meta glasses work, the main function of them are these two dual 12 megapixel cameras that are located on the frame sides. And at first glance, you really can't notice them as much. Like they do blend in if you're wearing them on your face. They aren't like super noticeable, if that makes sense, but they have 2 cameras here. And then they have a capture button on the right hinge. So this is what would take a picture or start recording a video. And you can customize that in the app, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But the cameras, when you're recording a video or taking a photo, if I were to take a photo, it's going to, actually it only does it when the lens is on, sorry. If I was to do like this, it's gonna flash. So it does that little flash and you aren't able to turn that off in the app or in any of the settings. So that's something that stays on and it'll stay blinking when you're recording a video or taking a photo. I took a photo, so it was pretty quick, but it'll stay blinking for the entire time that you record a video. Speaking of recording, so when you're taking a picture or recording a video, the cameras work like a kind of a fisheye lens. So they have a 100-degree field of view. So it's more of that 0.5 lens than like a traditional, like if you were to open your iPhone and to take a photo, it's going to be a little bit wider of a perspective because it's using the two cameras, which is how the cameras are. When you're recording a video, they do about 30 seconds or 30 frames per second with an adjustable stabilization. So you can adjust if you're mountain biking. They have different models for if you're active and you're doing sports, things like that, that can have a little bit more of that customization in the video recording. Since these aren't marketed to as like an accessible tool, they're marketed towards people that want to take videos, hands-free, calling, things like that, more of that AI assistant. They have a lot of different customization. So with the recording, if you're a tech person, they record at 1080p for the generation 1, and then for generation 2, they are at 3000p video resolution. Not that I'm big into tech like that, but that is something that they do. They also weigh about 50 grams, so they're pretty light on your face. I don't think that they feel heavier than a traditional glasses, if that makes sense, but that's kind of what the camera looks like. So let's talk about the speakers. So, when recording, does it also? Yes. So for questions, when you're recording, it does flash like the camera. So I'll show that a little bit later. But if I was to go in and say like, hey, Meta, start recording, it's going to flash a little bit slower than the camera function. And like more steady, if that makes sense. And I'll show that in a little bit. With the speakers, so when I'm prompting the glasses, they have an acoustic array pattern of speakers. So there are 5 speakers located on the glasses. There are 2 on the frame arms, and then there's one in the back here, one and another one under the Ray-Ban logo, and then there's one here, if you can tell, right under the frame, the nose bridge. And those make it so that your recording quality is pretty good, as well as when you're asking the Meta AI questions, it does a pretty good job of picking you up. With speakers, so speaking of that, sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. When you are asking the Meta AI questions, or you're listening to music or using the glasses, they have the speakers here. So the speakers are on the bridge or the like frame. I forget what this is technically called, but they're on the edge of the glasses and they sound like open ear speakers. So when you have them turned up, they aren't super, like you can't hear them super well, like when you're around other people. There's definitely a little bit of like audio leaking if you have it fully up, but we've tested them in our library, and if you have them down, they're not as noticeable. It just kind of sounds like someone listening to headphones, if that makes sense. So next thing we've got is battery. Oh, hold on. Battery life. I went ahead. Battery life. So with the battery life, the generation 1 and generation 2, that's where they differ a lot, is in the battery life. So the glasses have about 4 hours of continuous use for generation 1. And then with the charging case, the case charges with a wall charger and then holds that charge. So very similar to like an AirPods case or a Bluetooth headphone case, where you can charge this with a wall charger and then you can carry it with you and it'll hold a charge. This case will hold a charge for and provide an additional 32 hours of charge as needed, with both generations having the ability to pop it in and charge for a quick 30 minutes will give you, I think it's up to an hour of charge. I forget what the specific was, but like it does do a quick charge. So if you really do need the glasses and you want to do a quick charge, you can do it that way. They charge in the case using the bridge of the nose. So they're pretty easy to pull out. I just don't want to like get my fingers all over the lenses. So they charge here at the bottom. You see these little 2 magnetic points. Then you pop them in and they sit snug into the case, and then they'll blink. So if they're need a charge, they'll blink orange, and then these are charged, so they're blinking green. And so this changes when it goes between orange, green, and blue. Blue is when you're connecting it to your phone. So with the Generation 2, so we don't have those, but Generation 2, they look the same. They just have a significantly longer battery life. So Generation 2 has up to 8 hours of continuous use, and then the charging case provides an additional 48 hours. So definitely longer of a battery life. So let's talk about the, yes, okay, the speakers are a little confusing. Oh, I gotta go to my other, there we go. Sorry. The speakers are a little bit confusing. So the speakers are gonna sit here on the edge of your glasses, so then you can hear it. They're right next to your ears, whereas the microphones are kind of around. So if someone's talking to you, they can pick up on the audio if you're recording a video and things like that. So the next thing we're going to talk about, which is kind of going to bridge us into our next section, is our app and the language options. So with the glasses, both after this section, most like the app and the settings are the same for Generation 1 and Generation 2. So with the glasses, you can have, they have 10 language options. So you can have 4 different types of English. You've got UK, US, India, and Australia. You've got 2 different types of Spanish, Spain and Mexico. You've got Portuguese, Italian, French, and then some Indian languages, Hindi, Telugu, and Kannada. So I'm probably pronouncing this wrong, but those are the options available for the glasses. Now, some functionality of the Meta AI, which we'll look at in a second, are specific to the languages. They definitely have marketed towards the like English language. So they have a lot more connectivity and voices for that, as opposed to some of the other languages. But they also do translation, and we can look at that in the app. I want to make sure I'm not forgetting anything before we move on to what the app looks like. I don't think so. Well, let's get started. So I'm going to share my screen to show you what the app looks like. One thing that is unique about the glasses is they're very similar to an Apple Watch. I think a lot of people are kind of nervous when it comes to AI and wearing AI on your face, but it's very similar to like an Alexa or an Apple Watch where you aren't using them like all the time, but they're kind of there to help you and like just give you a little bit more of hands-free task support, if that makes sense. So they also do need to be connected to a phone or a tablet to have connectivity. So you can still wear the glasses like normal if you aren't connected to your phone, but you aren't able to access like the Meta AI, you can't listen to music, things like that. So it's like a traditional, like a watch needs to be charged and connected to your phone to be able to work. So I'm gonna connect here. Sorry, I had it connected earlier and it takes a little minute to get reconnected. Okay. Sorry, guys. Awesome. Okay. Let's hold on. First move here and then we'll go here. Okay. So the Meta AI app is specific to the glasses. So it's different than your Facebook app, or if you have a Meta Quest, if you're a gamer, they are separate apps. The Meta AI app is a black app with a multicolored circle. And this is where you're going to find all of your functionality. So with the phone apps, the difference between the phone app and what I'm showing you on the iPad is that when you first open the app on your phone, it's going to open a vibes section, which is kind of like a Facebook Reel or a YouTube short. There isn't really a way to disconnect that or to disable it. But the one unique thing is it doesn't show up on the iPad, but I like to show it on the iPad because it's a bigger screen, so it's easier to see when I'm showing during a workshop. So that's why I did it that way. But that if you open the app first, then you're just going to click the little hamburger and then you're going to navigate to devices. And that's going to be where you find where to connect to your glasses. Do you have a question?
I have a question stemming from the 2 questions on here.
Yes.
Is there anything the glasses can do without being connected to a phone? Or does it have to be connected for all of them?
That's a good question. I'm pretty sure that it does do, like, it can take a photo without being connected to your phone. Like if you're away from your phone and then almost store it and then put it on the app. Because there's been a time where like I have accidentally hit it and I'm not like close to my phone, but for the most part, you can't use most of the functions. Okay, so the question was, is there anything you can use on the glasses or like the functionality of the glasses that can work without being connected to a phone? So I would say initially, like if you were to buy the glasses and never connect it to a phone, it would be functionally useless. You do have to like get it connected to work. But then if you're like away from your phone or if your phone is dead, things like that, I'm pretty sure you can still take a photo and like use your glasses as normal, like be able to see out of your glasses. You just can't like ask the AI questions or have it like answer things like that for you. It does require internet for that, if that makes sense. So yeah. So when we're getting the glasses connected, it will show up and it says, find your next pair, or it'll say like add a new pair. Like this isn't what you get when you first do it. Otherwise you can press a little plus and that's where you start your getting connected and it walks you through. It's pretty user-friendly where you get it connected right out of the box and it walks you through the steps. It'll also give you like a little tutorial on how to use the AI and like some different functions that you can connect it to. You can connect it to different apps, things like that. So I want to make sure that I'm doing this as well. I think that was all. Okay, sorry. There we go. So when I've got the devices here, this is where you're going to see any photos that you take are going to pop up here. Like you can see I took that photo there. And then you'll get any reminders that you do, which we'll talk about in a minute. And then you've got this Learn and Explore where they do have some how-to tutorials that you can look at. So like if your glasses are, you can customize different sections. Like it's specific to tutorials, so little tutorials that they've got, and then you can refer. So if I want to change any of the settings on the glasses and change the language, the voice, XYZ, that's going to be in my settings. And that's where all of these connectivity pieces are going to be. So so sometimes they'll have updates. That's very similar to your phone. It's got different settings there. We've got little spots for the Meta AI. That's the biggest one where I can change the preferences, whether if I want it to say, hey, Meta, instead of, and it's listening to me. I can also do it so that if I don't want to say hey Meta all the time, I can customize it to have this touchpad or to functionally respond instead of having to say it every time. You can also change off if it has a wake sound. So when you're using the AI, it does make this little trilling sound to let it know that you're listening or let it know that it's listening to you. And so you can turn that off if that's something that you don't want. Then you can also customize the language like I talked about. So that's all in here. And then we can also change the voice. So they have different voices of celebrities like John Cena and Kristen Bell, and you have their general ones like Aspen, Indigo, and Sage, and you can change the pitch and rate that they're speaking at. So if you are someone that likes to have a fast talker, you can do that on here. And that is all customized in the app. Then we've got different connectivity. So the app can connect to, I'm pretty sure it's up to 15 different apps, and those are in these different sections. So this is where you would connect to, if you want the glasses to take a phone call for you, or if you want to be able to answer phone calls or text messages hands-free, that's where you would connect there. And that's done in your Bluetooth setting. And it walks you through the different steps on how to get there when you are connecting to them. And you can also change, like, if you want to be able to message someone on Messenger instead or WhatsApp or add to your Facebook story, you can do that as well. I don't have that connected just because this is my work iPad and I don't have Facebook for work. So there's also a way to connect different apps. So these are the different apps that you're able to connect to. You can connect to different music apps like Amazon, Apple Music, Spotify, and Audible for hands-free listening to books. And then they have iHeart, Shazam, Strava, and things like that. At the current time, you can connect to two calendars. So you can connect to Outlook Calendar and Google Calendar. So they don't have the Apple Calendar right now, but they are continually providing updates to the app. So functions, when we got these classes in November of last year, and we are constantly seeing them update with new settings and new connections and things like that. So as the technology improves, there might be potential for more apps in the future. And they do walk you through how to connect each app. So for example, I have Spotify connected so that you can listen to music in the app, and it walks you through like how to get that connected. And it also walks you through different settings for each app. So if I want Spotify to play something, it can give you different options. So those are the app connections. You can also change media settings. So things like auto capture, auto import. If you want to always have a picture or a video that you've taken on your glasses connect directly into your camera roll, that is a setting you have to do. It's not going to automatically do that. You have to give it permission. And then you can change like video settings on length and resolution and frame rate, things like that. It does only record up to 3 minutes of direct video. It can record up to 30 minutes for a hyperlapse, which is considered their version of a time lapse video, but that doesn't have any audio or like anything like that. It's just a traditional time lapse video instead of that traditional 3 minute or 1 minute video that can record audio and everything. So those are the app connections. You can also change like if it pauses when you take off your glasses. So similar to like Bluetooth headphones, if you take the headphone out, it's going to pause the music. Otherwise, you can change that setting as well. One of the unique settings in this specific setting is conversation focus. Now, I have early access turned on, which is where they send out beta updates that they're doing, which the conversation focus is one of those. And that is something that I consider an accessibility piece, but it's not in accessibility. It's something where you can put the glasses on and it's going to amplify the person in front of you. So say you're sitting in a loud restaurant and you are struggling to kind of hear the person across from you and things like that. You can turn on conversation focus and it's going to start amplifying the person in front of you. So if I turn away from the person, it's not going to amplify them anymore. You're going to hear the background noise. But if I'm looking directly at the person I'm talking to, it's going to give you the option to amplify it. Now they give different settings. Normally they do. Sometimes apps are a little funky. Sometimes that's the beauty of technology, is that it can be a little frustrating. So let me go back in there. But it does give you the option to like customize what things that you like, what types of conversation focus you want and things like that. Yes. So we're jumping to the accessibility support in just a minute. So a couple more settings before we get to accessibility is the notification, brightness, and some of the other customizable controls. So with the LEDs, I talked about the LED that's in the frame corner of the lens, but there's also an LED that you see in the inside of the right frame. So that's when you say, like, if you say anything to prompt the Meta AI, it's going to start blinking. Or if you're trying to connect the glasses without having the case, you're going to see the blink, the LED there. You can change the brightness of that one. There isn't an option to turn it off, but there is an option to have it be lower or higher if you need that support. You can also change if you want it to detect when your glasses are on versus off. That is an automatic setting that's on when you first get the glasses, but you can change that. One thing I didn't talk about when I was talking about the general glasses is the touchpad. So on the right side of the glasses here, that is a touchpad. So when I slide up, that's going to turn the volume up. When I slide down, that's going to turn the volume down. If I press and hold, that's going to perform an action. So similar to like a home button or something on your phone. Now you can change what that action does limitedly. You can have it do a Spotify thing, a quick connect, conversation focus, or you can have it do nothing at all if you don't want that. Now, some people put it as Meta AI because Meta AI can be a little finicky. So if it's not listening to you, I've had it so that you turn that on, so then it'll start listening to you immediately without having to prompt the Meta. You can also change whether the capture button has video or photo, and that is all you can do with the capture button. So there is definitely customization, but it does have limited customization, similar to like an Apple Watch or your phone, where you can only customize to what they've offered. Now, the last thing I've got is some microphone troubleshooting, which is where you can adjust whether it's going to pick up your voice. If it's not picking up your voice very well, they do have that setting on. And then we have our accessibility settings. They do have like ways to find your device, so you can locate where the last time, like the last place that your glasses were. So our last place was here at Pacer. And it can kind of track your location. Definitely hard to, like, it's not as perfect as other things, like it's not like a tile or things like that, but there's an option there. So the last two settings we've got are accessibility settings. So, sorry. The accessibility settings are Be My Eyes and detailed responses. And those are specifically marketed towards people with low vision, where you can connect the Be My Eyes app, which is the app that can connect you to a volunteer, a sighted person that can help you complete everyday tasks. So, yes, and I'll talk a little bit about Meta AI in a second. I know I didn't talk too much about that. With this, then they would be able to view what you're looking at, which is kind of eerie, if that makes sense, but it can be really helpful for someone with low vision to have that independence of being able to go to the store or read a document in that way. And you can change the preferences in that when you go to the Be My Eyes app, if that makes sense. So you can also put on detailed responses. Now, detailed responses are if you ask the Meta AI to complete something or say like, oh, what am I looking at? Or something like that. You can put it so that it gives more detail than it traditionally would. So because a sighted person might not need that level of detail, but if you're using it for someone who's low vision, or you just want a little bit more detail in what you're looking at, or what the response is giving you, you can turn that on. So I can turn it on, and then it's going to give me more detail than it normally would. So I'm going to have it on. So let's talk about the glasses functionality. So I think that's what I have next. Let me check. Integrations and accessibility. Perfect. So before I go into our categories of options, I'm going to talk a little bit about the Meta AI. So similar, similar to your Alexa or your Siri, it is something that is a personal assistant. So I kind of refer to it as a combination of your Alexa and your ChatGPT. So it gives a little bit of a mix where, if you ask it to start a timer, it's going to be able to start a timer for you. If you ask it, what the weather is, it's going to be able to do that. Now, they do have a little bit more functions than, say, an Alexa would. You're able to have it add events to your calendar. You can have it tell you how far away something is, have it ask, like, what am I looking at? It can do an OCR feature. So if I'm holding a sheet in front of me, if I'm holding my notes in front of me, I can tell me, okay, can you read it from top to bottom? It's going to read that whole thing to me. And with the customization, you can have it read like everything to you, or it can have it summarize what you're looking at. There's also a feature called Live AI, and this isn't necessarily specifically for low vision, but I think I see it used a lot for low vision, which is where you start a live AI section or live session, sorry, and then you can ask it questions without having to prompt it every time. Because like a Siri or a ChatGPT, you do need to prompt the glasses for it to start listening to you. So every time you ask it a question, you do need to say, hey, Meta. And then it starts that little trill. Hey, Meta, stop. Perfect. So then, live AI. Yeah. So then instead of having to ask a question multiple times, because if I'm looking for something, say I'm like at the store and I want to find the cereal, instead of having to go through every aisle and say, okay, look in front of me, it's going to take a picture every time. Whereas the live AI is a video. So then it's able to answer questions based on the video that's currently occurring instead of that multiple pictures that you'd have to take. So it kind of makes it No, sorry. It's kind of hard when it's on and it'll start listening to you. It's a little disorienting when I'm trying to talk. Sorry. So let's look at some uses for the glasses. So I see it used for a lot of different things. And one thing that I love showing it for is executive function. So with this, it makes it, with the glasses, it makes it like you have your, um, yes, that's a good question. Sorry. I also have the chat up. The live AI does stop after 3 minutes. So it does, all videos have that cap of 3 minutes. And unfortunately, there isn't a way around that. So you would have to start a new live AI section or session if you want more than 3 minutes. With the executive function, uses that you can use the glasses for. I really like using it for like adding things to your calendar or kind of that personal assistant, personal scheduling. So one of the kind of case studies I have it for is if you're a college student and you're feeling overwhelmed with your calendar, you can ask it, what do you have on your calendar? If you're someone that's super organized and you already have that on your calendar. So like, for example, let me ask what is on my calendar for tomorrow. Hey, Meta, what's on my calendar tomorrow?
You want to take a photo for that, right?
So it does struggle.
Still quiet.
It's still quiet. Okay, let me turn it up. Yeah. So I know you probably didn't hear it. Hey, Meta, volume up.
Sorry, I didn't get that.
She's struggling a little bit. And I will say that that is a downside of these glasses. I think that they are really great sometimes, and other times they can be a little bit frustrating. And that's why I kind of refer to them more of a cross between the Alexa and the ChatGPT, is because they often will, like if I say a prompt on one time and then another day, I'm going to say that same prompt. Sometimes it'll give me the same answer and sometimes it won't. And that is a downside of these glasses, but more than it is has its downsides, it also has its positives. So if I were to ask, let me try it. Let me try it again. Hey, Meta, what's on my calendar for tomorrow?
Tomorrow starts with a yoga class at 8 a.m. Then you've got a work shift from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. And finally, a trip to the grocery store at 4 p.m.
Thanks.
Welcome.
Okay, sorry, it was quiet. So it told me about my calendar that I had where I put in different tasks on my Google Calendar already, and then it was able to read me that. Now you are also able to add stuff to your calendar verbally. I'll say that is a little bit of a frustrating process, and you do have to follow like the exact like I would say equation to put your event in. But it is something that you can do. So yes, it only works with Google Calendar and Outlook currently. And I would say that with the concerns on like the Meta AI and kind of the frustrations, from what I'm reading online, obviously we don't have the second generation in our library, so I haven't been able to test them out firsthand. But from what I'm reading online, I do see that there's a little bit of those concerns present for both generations. Since they're still like running the same like operating system, technically, like that's what the concerns are still the same, if that makes sense. With our executive function, back to that, we can also use it to break down tasks. So if I am feeling overwhelmed with tasks, so say I'm a college student and I have 3 papers due this week, right? I have economics, history, and English. And I'm like, where do I even start? I'm super stressed about that. I can process that with the Meta AI. So let's look at that. Hey, Meta. I have 3 papers due this week. I have one in economics, history, and English, and I don't know where to start. Where should I start?
Let's break it down. Start with the one that's due soonest. Which one is that?
I
By
think
the way, to give you
I think that my history paper is due the soonest.
great. Let's focus on the history paper then. What's the topic and what's the required length?
The required length is 2 pages and it's on Science, the history of science.
That's a broad topic. Want to narrow it down to a specific era, like ancient civilizations or the Renaissance?
Yes, it's about the Renaissance.
The Renaissance was a time of great scientific discovery. Want to explore Galileo's contributions or maybe the impact of the printing press?
Not right now. Do you think that's what I should work on first?
That's a lot to tackle. Maybe start by just outlining your history paper. That way, you'll get a sense of direction.
Awesome. Thank you. Perfect. So obviously, the more that you talk to it, the more it's going to prompt you. You can also ask it to explain things if you're like, okay, how do I do this? Or can you explain, the history of science, broad topic, and different things like that. But it does give you the option to break things down. That same function works if you're looking at a paper. So if I want to I have my outline in front of me, I can have it read it, basically scan it, and then explain it to me in a different way and give me the step-by-step instructions that way. Now you're also able to use it for executive function as like for breaks and things like that. So if I am wanting to say like, okay, can you, hey Meta, remind me in 5 minutes I need to take a break.
Sure. I'll remind you to take a break today at 12:46 p.m.
Thank you. And so then, sorry, it likes to keep talking. So then it'll tell me that I need to take a break. So I can do it verbally instead of having to go into my phone, set a timer for 5 minutes and things like that. Now you are also able to set a timer on the glasses the same way that I just said to give me a break and things like that. But it just eliminates the need to go to another go to another device. Sorry, I know it was a little too high. You can also do things like reminding you when the class is over. So if you have those classes in your Google Calendar or in your calendar app and scheduled, you can say like, okay, can you remind me when my work shift is over, like 5 minutes before my work shift over, which can help with that transition and like improved punctuality and things like that. You can also set reminders like I have in the example, which is like, hey, Meta, remind me to bring my backpack to swim class tomorrow.
Sure. I'll remind you to bring your backpack to swim class tomorrow at 9 a.m.
And you can change when that time is. So if I'm like, oh, I know swim practice, I meant to say practice is tomorrow at 4 p.m., I can have it do that as well. So there's a lot of customization that can really help free up using another app or using another phone or another device, things like that. So oh, sorry, it likes to listen. So it does do a little bit of like listening after you're done prompting so that you don't have to prompt multiple times. And I would say that function works about 50% of the time. Sometimes it will, and sometimes it just does not work at all. So it's a little bit iffy, if that makes sense. Let's look at uses for low vision. Now, this is something that I see to be really beneficial and just honestly crazy revolutionary for the price point that it is. And so one thing, like I talked about, is that live AI, but another thing is where you can do and have it read different like labels to you. So this can help with like independence, like going to the grocery store or things like that. So say you're a person that struggles to read fine print or small labels when in the grocery store while shopping. Okay. I've got this Skinny Pop container. Now, not necessarily like perfect example, but it is an example of a label. So I can say, hey Meta, what does this label say?
The label says Skinny Pop White Cheddar Popcorn.
Hey Meta, how many ounces are in the Skinny Pop?
That's a great question. The Skinny Pop White Cheddar Popcorn comes in different sizes. One size is around 3.25 cups, which is about 4.4 ounces. Another size is a tiny bag, weighing around 14 grams or 0.5 ounces.
So like you saw, it really depends on the quality of your picture. So if I have like my hand in front of something, that's a downside. Whereas like if I'm holding it, but if I'm holding something that's a little bit not as like, this is a bag, so it's a little bit harder than like if I'm holding a box of mac and cheese, for example, I can do that. If you're blind with a barcode, that's a good question. Let me see. So with the barcode, like if I want to find, here, hey Meta, can you read the barcode on this item?
The barcode on this item is not clearly visible. However, I can try to read the text on the packaging. Cooladler, 80, and SodaStee Coldes, 833, 878, 7267, Poppid TR, Poppern.
So, hey Meta, stop. So, like you saw a little bit of the functionality there, I had my hand above the barcode and it was reading the phone number for the Hershey's Salty Snacks Company. So definitely a little bit of a challenge, but that's, oh, it's telling me to take a break.
Reminder, take a break.
Told me to take a break. So if you're having your glasses on, like back to that, like you can use the break function or the timer function for anything, low vision or executive function or things like that. And if you have the glasses on, it'll give you that auditory reminder so you don't have to go to your phone. If you don't have your glasses on, it'll send the reminder as a push notification through your phone app. But with the labels, it does pretty well with the boxes, does struggle a little bit with bags, but we've tried it on a variety of different things. And for the most part, it does pretty well. It also does pretty well if I'm trying to identify like, is there a doorway or a sign? So like I'm gonna turn and the door is over here. So I'm gonna ask it if there's a door in my field of view. Hey, Meta, is there a door nearby?
Take a photo to look.
Yes.
Correct?
Correct.
Yes, there is a door nearby. It is a wooden door with a glass panel in the center.
About how far away is the door?
The door appears to be a few meters away, likely within a range of 2 to 4 meters.
Thank you. So it can tell you, yeah, so it can tell you a lot of different things. And it definitely does a lot better with like if there's a glare. So we have a lot of like the studio lighting in here. It does pretty well with like just general lighting. It struggles a little bit with the graininess in low lighting. So if you're trying to identify a barcode or a label and it's, you know, super dark, it can struggle. But for the most part, it does pretty well. Yeah, does pretty great with identifying colors or graphics on a shirt. So for example, I've got my scarf here. And I can ask it what color it is. Hey Meta, what color and pattern is on this shirt or this scarf?
The scarf or shirt appears to be white with black stripes.
Thank you. So oh sorry. So that's kind of the things. Yes, the glasses are able to see curbs, ramps, crosswalks, and traffic. So I've tried it where I can like stand in front of a road and ask if there's traffic in front of me. Now they don't recommend that you use it as a mobility aid, so you shouldn't rely on that completely like as your only option. There's definitely other things that they would recommend. But it does it does have the option to like recognize like, oh, is there a bus in front of me or things like that. It can identify currency, yes. It can identify pretty much anything. It can take a photo and like you would be able to put, like if you were able to put it into Google Lens, like take a picture and have it identify that way, it can usually do that as the Meta AI. One thing because we're almost, we got about 10 minutes left, is kind of employment or just general function, some other options. Okay, so one of the things that I like about this and how it could be used for like job coaching or employment, things like that, is the way that you could have it walk you through different steps. So if you are given steps to do something by a supervisor, or you have, say, a document that gives you like like say a sticky note. I printed out this little task list on someone that works in a retail stock room and needs to restock the green beans. So I can have it do that by, hey Meta, can you read this for me?
The text in the image reads, Task 1/27. Go to the correct area for green beans, put the product on the shelf, make sure items are organized, and presentable things to keep in mind. Check the shelf before adding new items, pay attention to dates and product condition. Place items neatly and facing forward. When you are done, the shelf should look full and neat. The correct product should be in the correct spot. No trash or boxes should be left behind.
Do you think that I need a specific type of tool to do this task?
No, it does not appear that a specific type of tool is required to complete this task. The instructions seem to involve basic tasks, such as going to the correct area, putting products on shelves, and organizing items.
Okay, can you simplify the instructions for me?
The instructions can be simplified to 1. Go to the green beans area. 2. Put the product on the shelf. 3. Make sure items are organized and look neat. 4. Check the shelf before adding new items.
Hey Meta, pause. So that is kind of an option that you can do is you're able to look at something and obviously like every task list is going to be different. You could kind of play around with that if you're trying them out because you can check them out from our library. But it does give the option to simplify those steps or ask a question like, do I need this for this task or something like that, where you wouldn't necessarily need to go and ask a supervisor or, another person. It kind of gives that independence and kind of reduces errors and increases confidence, I would say. You also can do the same thing like we did with the executive function, where you're able to like have it remind you to take a break. So you could have it remind you to switch tasks in 10 minutes if that's something that you struggle with, or like if you've been given instructions like, hey, can you help me remember what to do? If you have like a specific task that you're doing and things like that. They also have the option to like, if you're, say, getting ready for work, maybe you struggle with time blindness, you can ask it, how long is my drive to work? Or how long is how long until work if you have it scheduled in your calendar. But it also does learn your patterns as the more that you use it. So the first time I used it to do this function, what I asked like, how long is my drive to work? Because I have it saved in my Maps app. And it was like, I don't really know where you work, right? And so then I was like, oh, I work at this place. And then it said, great, I'll remember that for next time. And so then it gave me the option. It gave me, it's, 26 minutes, things like that. And then I can ask it while I'm getting ready and things like that, which can kind of help with that timeliness or like how much time until this appointment or things like that. Now, it does give you, like, there are so many prompts that you can try. I've tried a variety of different, like, ways to say things. And sometimes it'll pick up on what you're saying, like you would, like, sorry, it picks up on what you're saying, like it can kind of understand what you're asking, and other times it's like, I don't know how to help you with that. And so that is a downside of the glasses, but in general, there's so many different ways you can use it. You can use it, to take a hyperlapse if you're needing to record something for your job, or to break down those tasks, or to add a task to your calendar, or start a timer, remember different things, like if I'm leaving the house, or I'm trying to find my keys, I can say like, hey, start a live AI session. Like, do you see my keys in the picture? And you kind of can use it that way. So there's a lot of different functions that can be used with the glasses. So they really do have endless capabilities, in my opinion. So I think that's kind of all we have for the glasses. Do we have any questions before we wrap up here? We got about 5 minutes left. Do you have any questions before I move on to our next workshops that we've got? I think we got most things.
There was a question about Uber. I assume it doesn't work with Uber.
That's a good question. I think that that's an interesting like prompt. I wonder if you would be able to like ask it to do that. I'm not sure. It's not a connected app, but like you might be able to like work around. I'm not sure. I would have to check that out. With the voice commands, unfortunately, this is a voice command specific item. So you really don't have the ability to use it without voice commands. It does need to, the only like thing you could use without the voice commands is to press it instead of having to prompt it every time. And unfortunately, that is like about the extent of not being able to use it. With your voice commands. Sorry. We haven't tried any of the other smart glasses at this time, but I'm hoping that we can in the future. There's so many that are coming out. It's definitely an emerging technology that we're looking into. Now, as we're wrapping up, I want to talk a little bit about our workshops. We have a couple different workshops. We always have different ones on our website. Like we've got wellness apps for common healthy habits. That's next week, I think. And then we've got switch control as well as different IEP workshops that the Parent Training Center hosts. Now, with the if you have any questions about this workshop or you want to just chat about the glasses or you want to know how to check them out, you can send us an email or you can give us a call or you can look at our website. Now to get that survey, you are going to complete the workshop evaluation that is in the chat. It's also a super quick survey. It's 3 to 5 minutes. And the certificate will pop up after you've submitted the evaluation. So when you submit, you want to make sure if you need that certificate, click that link, that please click here. Otherwise, you will not be able to get your certificate. So you want to make sure to complete that survey and then you'll get the certificate of attendance and then you go from there. Again, any questions you have, just shoot us an email or give us a call and we can answer those questions. So maybe you'll come in and check the Meta glasses out in person here at Pacer. So those are kind of the options. I think that's what we've got. Ooh, and that's all. So thank you so much for joining us. I'll give you just a few more seconds to get that survey, just in case you didn't get it before. So I'll just give you a few more seconds to grab it. And then, yeah, any of the things I talked about, including prompts for the glasses, are in your handout. So make sure you check that out in the link in the email or what you've been following along with. Awesome. Okay, I'm going to stop recording. I'm not finding
you can just end.
There you go. I can't find the end button. Do you have the option to do that? Here we go. Sorry, guys. I am not seeing